Good day, everyone. I'm Gwendolyn Flynn, and I'm welcoming you to New Answers podcast. I guess I keep calling it podcast. It's kind of a video cast. But we're a community of everyday people sharing solutions to life challenges based on our personal experience. We're continuing in our conversations around that we're calling nurturing spirituality and looking at spirituality as a way of finding solutions to life challenges. And spirituality for us, and I'm speaking about my colleague, Tiffany Lee, hi Tiffany, uh,
Hello.
is a way for us to connect with our higher power, with God, with the divine invisible, whatever name you give it, because we think that in connecting with that higher power, we are then guided through our life to make the choices that would be of benefit to us. And we're hoping to bring out more folks who are engaged in this journey of spirituality and and hopefully build a community of folks of like-minded folks that can not only use spirituality to help them overcome challenges in their lives personally, but also overcoming challenges that the world might be facing as we kind of collect ourselves together and put that positive energy out into the world to create that beloved community. So we're continuing on in that conversation, and Tiffany and I are, we've been talking about out of body experiences. We've been talking about deja vu. We've been talking about um, a number of spiritual related phenomena that we have all experienced. And we think there are others out there who've experienced these same things. And so we want to bring everybody out into the open, come out and talk about your spiritual um,
Journey.
experiences that you've had, right? And today, what do we want to explore today? Um, I think we said we wanted to talk about, oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought here. um,
Well, I think that we are going to talk about the actual journey itself and how that there's different levels
yes,
of,
that's right.
of spirituality as far as like where each person is and what we can understand in it, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Now I'm remembering the conversation because we talk about a lot of stuff. And so now I'm remembering where we wanted to go with this and
Yeah.
how, let me just say this about my spiritual journey. So I've been involved with spirituality, I guess, since maybe the mid 90s, something like that, when I was first introduced to agape. And I would meditate. I mean, I came into a time when I was, in this spirituality journey where I would sit down and meditate. And I got to a point where I almost felt like I was levitating. I mean, it was just great, but it's easier to say than to do to get to that point. I don't think I've been in that place since that time. And I don't know, maybe it was the late 90s by that time. And I've been trying to meditate over the past couple of days, and it's not easy. It's like trying to clear your mind of anything. You know how your mind just chatters, mine does, and be still enough to be able to hear the still small voice. That's what I've learned, which is, the higher power speaking to you to give you some guidance. And so, and I know that you have been involved in this journey for a while, and you've been sharing with me some of the practitioners maybe that have come into your space, and you and those practitioners are at a higher level than I am because I could not understand what they were saying. And I'm going to go back though. I'm going to keep those um, text messages and links and go back to them as I continue to develop in this practice. And then I think what they're saying will be more, I'll be able to comprehend it better than I
Hmm.
am. How
Yeah.
did you come to
Uh,
you?
100%. I will say that you probably don't even need to save those, because in our journey, really the journey is really controlled by the divine. So every step you go will be what you're ready for. So I send you these things. I do that out of kind of excitement. Oh, look at this. But if you're not there, that's okay. Because if it was sent to me a year ago, I wouldn't have understood it either. Um, and that's something that now that I've taken like this class at the center and I've been with the class at the center, we had to do a lot of spiritual practices, a lot.
Mm,
And I can tell that I've grown considerably in the last 3 months from this class. I totally recommend it, Gwen. You should, it's,
okay.
I'm sure they have it at Agape. I totally
Yeah.
recommend. Um, so, but yes, I mean, I've been in the journey for three since 2021. Um, and but as we've discussed before, I've had a lot that wants to come through. I've had a lot of spiritual connection. I had a lot of spiritual connections even as a child. We probably all do. But the way society was set up is that we were told to shut that down, especially if you were in religions, shut it down. And I have my awareness of why. I mean, if everyone had that strong connection with source where we can go to source to control our lives, not control our lives, to give us the freedom of knowing what to do,
Yeah.
not by another person, but through source, where our souls are living the mission that they came here to do,
Yeah.
we're harder to control. So the beautiful thing right now is that we're having this huge um spiritual awakening. So
Yes.
many people are leaving the church and connecting themselves and growing. And I do believe it's with the help of the divine.
Mhm.
I know it's with the help of the divine. I had a download yesterday that, you know, the people I channel, the beings that I channel were telling me like they're all here to help us. We're going through a huge shift and the chaos is part of the plan, but how bad the chaos gets before in the process of the shift, they're here to help us through it, you know?
Wow.
So um, it's not a coincidence. It's all part of the plan that so many people are waking up to their spirituality. They're beginning to listen. They're realizing things are just wrong. They're seeing, you know what I mean? And here we have this crazy person in office. I'm just going to say it. That's my feeling about it. Crazy people. There's multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, like if Trump alone was doing it, he wouldn't be able to get away with it. He has this
Right.
whole team. He has half of Congress, you know what I mean? But
Right.
but when I say it's part of the plan, that's what I've heard from spirit that is part of the plan
Mhm.
because change is coming, a shift is coming, or we're in the shift, we're in the change.
Mhm.
So back to our spiritual journeys, it's created by the divine and you just be open to it. And that's all you have to do is you take your meditation time, even if your mind's always going, you know,
Yeah.
you just say, there's so many different spiritual leaders and they tell you different things of how to do it. And the one thing that's helping me right now is you just say, okay, thank you. We'll deal with that later. And then go back into the quietness where you concentrate on your breathing um, or do a guided meditation. Like
Mhm.
you can look for guided meditations on YouTube. And those helped me out a lot in the beginning because I definitely couldn't sit there quietly. You know what I mean? And even with the guided meditations, I'm listening to it, but it's amazing how you can listen and think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you break that down, you're like, how many beings are living up in my head right now?
Yes. I know, exactly. Oh my gosh. Um, so there's a number of things that you said that I want to explore a little more. Um, and I think I mean, it'll sound like we're a little off track, but not really, because it's about where we each are in our development and spirituality.
Hmm.
You mentioned crazy people in the office, and for us, crazy is, I shouldn't speak for you, but my interpretation of crazy is folks who are separated from their higher power, and so they don't have the connection and are not being guided by the higher power.
Right.
And that's my definition of crazy. It's like, oh, you're not, you are, um, yeah, just basically just disconnected from, from the divine, right? Spirit that
Yeah.
that will send you, if you are connected, that will send you some guidance that is humane and, you know, um, uplifting of humanity.
Hmm.
You're not connected in that way to get that, you do some stuff that's could be considered crazy.
Yeah.
One thing. The other thing was, you had said, did you think that you understand why it is the organized religions that we know will want to shut down our natural, um, the natural phenomena that happens with us. So, things like, the deja vu and things like, what else did we talk about? The downloading and clear channels, and they want to shut that down. And why do you think that is?
Well, to have more control over society is what I believe that is. It's um it's basically what religions do. Now, the Catholic Church initially, kind of helped create the Bible, kind of hijacked uh Christ's teaching in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and made it what it is, made it more patriarchal in a
Yeah.
way. So when we had the witch burnings,
Oh,
um,
right. Yeah.
I mean, there's just not enough time in an hour to go so deep into this, but I do believe the witch burnings were because women in general, the feminine energy is the upper chakras, which is the third eye, and the crown chakra, which is the knowing direct from God. So the upper chakra systems are feminine and the lower chakra systems are masculine. And
Mhm.
so women do have a easier and stronger connection to source when you're in the upper chakras. That's the spiritual side. Men, the masculine does too. They have it, but it's more 3D. It's more finances. It's more grounded earthly. So, and when you're off balance, we should all have equally open chakras, but we're not. So, in the process of religion, what they do is they shut down our crown chakra and the third eye, and the heart chakra too is where it all balances out. Like, because the universal God, the prime provider, I mean, prime creator is love. That's the teaching of Christ. It's the teaching of every religion, right? Is
Yes.
love. And
Mhm.
that's based on the heart chakra.
Mhm.
So when you are thoroughly connected, you're connected through your crown chakra
Mhm.
and your heart and your third eye. The upper chakra systems is where all the spiritual gifts come from. So when you open those up, that's where your gifts come from.
Mhm.
Well, you can't control someone that's so connected to God, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
therefore, and so things that they did, like knowing how to heal.
Mhm.
Um, so the original, the doctor's symbol that they have, that
Yeah.
little crest.
Yeah. With the.
Yeah, that came from
Mhm.
the so-called witches back in the days. They kept that. They also kept the idea of wearing the white robes. That came from that. So they took what they wanted from it and they
Yeah,
called the rest evil. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And they burnt women that wouldn't um stop their practices, and it's just basic stuff. Like I made
yeah.
my oil, it's rosemary, it's olive oil and rosemary. And like I
Mm,
said, take the swelling and pain out your hands and my hands because of the arthritis.
mhm.
So those little things, it's kind of just it's controlling them by
Yeah.
saying instead of if your crown chakra is closed, you can't download.
Hmm.
And when you're downloading, you're getting advice, you're getting the knowing, the wisdom from source and God himself. And so if
Hmm.
you cut that off, then then let's say the Pope, he has
Yeah.
his open, you're going to listen to him. Like people that are cut off are always looking for someone for direction.
Right.
This is
Exactly.
what this is what is shifting. Like people are more and more opening up their crown chakras, their third eye, their connection to source for their direction, for their soul.
Hmm.
You don't have
Yeah,
control over people that have control over themselves,
exactly.
that aren't
That's
looking to you for control.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And that, so when came into Agape, there was a minister, somebody who was coming up through the ministry, and I guess that's what they call it, and even in the spiritual center. Um, she always opened her remarks by saying she was a recovering Catholic. I thought that was interesting. But yes, the Catholic Church is one example, but there are other examples of those religions, like you say, who want to shut it down. And they have these intermediaries that they want you to go through, you know, instead of you being directly connected to spirit, they want you to go through them and then they interpret for you, and that's not necessary. And I'm so glad that we are in this period of kind of awakening
Hmm.
and are discovering that, oh no, we can have our own direct connection. We don't have to have these intermediaries at all.
Right.
We
Right.
can have our own direct connection with our higher power who will guide us through our lives, who sees us as, emanations of that spirit, of that divine, invisible,
Hmm.
and here to uh, make life better on this planet. That was one of the things that attracted me to Agape, is that it really helped me understand what our purpose in life is. That we are
Right.
for a purpose. That we were here. We are all given individually gifts and talents that we are meant to share with the world, and it's
Right.
to create a better world. So yeah, it's really interesting, and it got to a point at some, like you said, in history, where for the feminine, who like you say have more a closer connection or more connected to um, the divine, and was expressing that, that was one of the ways they wanted to shut that down, was to burn women at the stake.
Yeah.
They're using their gifts, in order to create a different world, a better world. And so they would burn them at the stake. I mean, that's how intense it got. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get to that, but there's certainly, we're in transition now, like you say. We are in this time of something new is emerging, uh,
Hmm.
and that people are beginning to recognize that, oh, there's, like I said, in our last recording, we were talking, whatever we were talking about, and I said, oh, out of body experiences, I guess. And I'd heard that day someone on television use that expression. So like we're starting to, to say it out loud more frequently than we used to, because it's
Right.
such an anomaly. It's not weird, it's not, we're starting to accept it as as not something that's other, right?
Right.
That we all have this ability, and it's just a matter of, like we're saying, nurturing it and bringing it out, recognizing it, and just, and using it for what, the purposes that it's intended to be. So I'm excited about what is going to become of this, creating a new world.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so I'm sure that's something that we can look forward to.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little difficult for a while because when things are being created, something new for something new to come in, you have to tear down the old.
Yeah.
So it's where like the systems will be torn down. I mean, in some ways, what's happening right now in here in the US is a lot of people compare it to what happened with Nazi Germany
Oh,
and many, many other times in history.
yeah.
It's basically the end of an era of America being the powerful country, right? So it
Yeah.
is going to change a lot, but it's going to go through a certain amount of chaos, which we are in. We are in it, you know.
Hmm.
But the beautiful thing is, people in general were different. As humans, we're different. There's a lot more people that are saying, no, no, we're not doing this, you know,
Yeah.
um, and standing up and resisting that what the fear and anger and warmongering were like that's not in the consciousness
Mm-mm.
for the majority of us anymore. Sorry,
Hmm.
a lot's trying to come through, but I want to make sure that I say this in ways I can translate, but you can see it all around the world. You can see all around the world how there's almost on a spiritual level like a battle of, well, I'm just going to go there. So the dark divine masculine,
Hmm.
and in the dark divine the dark masculine
Yeah.
energy is anger, fear, control, greed, all those elements. I mean, you can see that with our world leaders.
Yes.
See the people rising up across the world, not just here in America. Like,
Yeah.
if you're really paying attention, you see it all over the world. So you see like this battle of like the whole world, the collective of all these people awakening, saying, no, we are not having this anymore.
Hmm.
But of course, this part, this darkness, um, the dark masculine is wants to have control. It doesn't want to lose the control it's losing by people awakening, and which would be called actually the divine feminine energy awakening. That's the spiritual energy. That's the energy based on love and unity, and you see that around the world happening. And of course, just like anyone that's had power for so long, if they feel that they're losing it, what's
Yeah.
going to happen? They're going to go stronger at it to try to
Right.
get it back, try to get back the power that they've had, but they're losing it ultimately,
Mhm.
So I was talking to my friend today, and he was talking about it. He talks about it in the sense of finances because he's in finance, and he was like, Trump pulled a woozy last night with the tariffs. And when he's doing his finances, he's like, okay, probably by August, we're going to be in a strong recession. And it's going to last about 14 months. And then we're going to have a whole new economy. And I was like, that's really interesting how you can see that in the market, in the financial market. And it matches up with my downloads as far as what's happening in the world.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Earth. With just like the changes in Earth, and then
Hmm.
like we are going to have a new generation. I mean, a new Earth basically, and
Mm.
you can Google New Earth on YouTube, and you'll see a lot of spiritual teachers talking about it, and they're all going to tell you we're in the process of it.
I will do that.
Yeah, you'll
This
hear a lot
with
about it.
the new Earth and all of these. Okay.
And in astrologers, I watched a lot of astrologers the last couple of days right before the new moon,
Yeah.
and they were saying the way the planets aligned up, the last two times they were aligned this way were like 543 years, five something BC was the last time, and it was at the beginning of religion, the
Mm,
creation of religion,
mm.
coin money, and democracies.
Oh,
That's how long ago the alignments of the planets were aligned the way they are right now. And then before that, it was before language was created. So you
oh,
can
wow.
see that there's a pattern with the way
Yeah.
that planets are aligned and they're actually changing signs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is the creation of hugely different timelines, basically Earths. Like that was before the first two times ago, it was before we spoke, before we had okay, so there's always been language, but it was more telepathic. So before vocal language came was the last time. And then after that, it was when before or at the beginning of when religion and coin money and democracy was created. And now we're here again.
Mm.
So
And we
are
don't know
in
exactly what's going to come out of it, but
I have no idea what's going to come out of it, other than I hear that we will be at a higher dimension. I mean,
yeah.
everyone will tell you we're going to be at a higher dimension, and that's because we're all aligning. So we're going to leave 3D,
Mm,
and we're going to, when you're aligned, um, you go to higher dimension, higher vibrations, and
mm-hmm.
that's more love focused, and it's more a balanced feminine energy when it's love focused and love chakra and unity and community. And like when you start listening and start studying it, it's a beautiful thing that they're talking about. It's very exciting of where we're going.
That's
However, we
phenomenal.
have to,
Hmm.
the other system has to crash. And it's not going to go down smoothly. It's going
No,
down with fighting. You know what I mean? The people that are
right.
used to being in power aren't going
Yeah.
to like easily release it. But you know what's funny today? I laughed was, there's been a lot of it's funny how this conversation went half political, but it is what it is. It's what is
Yeah.
happening, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of people in power and oligarchs, a lot of people have been boycotting Target and Walmart,
Mm,
right? They released the DEI. Well, prove that one, the world is changing and people are, fighting back is the boycott, and it's working. It's affecting them because Target said they're going to close their stores in a couple weeks for all of their stores for 24 hours so that Walmart can get the sales. And multiple stores are going to do this. They're going to close
really?
down for
On the
24 hours
announcement?
on that day, and Walmart's going to be open. And I was like, that's that's really interesting. But it's because they're losing their money. They're losing power. Look at how Tesla lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I heard about
And
that.
that's because we as a collective are becoming more heart-centered and we're saying this is not okay.
It's not
This is
okay.
this
Mhm.
this pattern of war and slavery and racism is not okay. We are not here for that anymore. The
Mhm.
other beautiful thing I saw today was on the news was here in LA, someone had put a Nazi flag up on a bridge over the 101 or something like that. Did
Mm.
you see that?
No, I didn't. I'm sitting.
And so I guess this particular bridge, there's been, it's just like a bridge where some Trump MAGA supporters are there all the time.
Mm.
And so when that Nazi symbol came up, then anti-MAGA or like different groups came out to protest and was like, we're not going to have this. And then when MAGA supporters were there, they asked the leaders of the two groups, MAGA supporters and anti-MAGA supporters, they thought each other put that Nazi flag up there. And this is on the news. So they came together and talked about it while the news was there. And both of them were like, this is not acceptable. Both sides said this is not acceptable.
Oh,
We're not, we didn't do it. We didn't do it.
yeah.
You have your right to believe politically what you want to believe. But
Yeah.
That's like, because it was like gay pride group and other groups that were not, Trump supporters and the Trump supporters, and they came together, the leaders of those two groups came together and talked, and they're
Yeah,
like, we're not here for that. They're
yeah,
like, this is not what America is. So there
right.
was a union there,
Yeah, a
very
unification.
unexpected union there.
Right, right. Oh my goodness. So,
Yeah.
so that's what intrigues me. So I um, am of the mind that yes, we're definitely in a state of transition, and that it usually, when these things happen, that there is a lot of uncomfortability. That's a word. And I liken it to, and this is what I hear from my spiritual center all the time, uh, to the feminine, the feminine giving birth, right, to something new. And you go into labor, it ain't pretty. it's it's hard. It's uncomfortable. I mean, that's not even the word to describe what you go through. But in the same way, if you use that as a sort of a metaphor, I guess, about where we are, it's like the society is giving birth to a new way of being.
Yeah.
And it becomes, and to get to that point, you got to go through some gnashing of the teeth, is it whatever it is that they say that expression is, and in pain, and it's uncomfortable. But on the other side, you're going to have this new creation. And I'm hoping, and maybe this is me being that Pollyanna-ish again, that, and I don't know how this would work, that in this awakening of the way that we can be personally connected to the higher power and not have any intermediaries, that with this awakening and on the other side of the birth of this new way of being, that we honor ourselves, our individual selves, and not be dependent on a single leader necessarily. You
Yeah.
know that we come together in this way, that we honor each other, and celebrate our differences, and not otherize people who don't look like whatever it is, and that we don't need a single person who is going to and be that and be like a substitute intermediary, like how the religions have their intermediaries, and politics will have its mediator, that we don't need that anymore. Like the new earth, is going to be, like you say, we're in a different dimension,
Hmm.
and that it's more um, us relying on ourselves and our connection with our higher power.
Yeah.
So but, I don't know. I mean, that's me kind of putting it out there as a possibility, but who knows what the other side is going to look like. But it's just going to be better, I think, than what we have, because this, like you say, it has to be torn down. It has to go away, because it's not serving ourselves. It's not serving the planet that we're on,
It's
that
not.
at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm excited to about what's to come. I mean, I don't relish the idea that we have to go through some uncomfortable
Birthing pains.
spells, the birthing pains. I don't
Birthing
I don't
pains.
really
Yeah.
look forward to that, but I do look forward to what's coming on the other side. What will result on the
Yes.
other side.
And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And that was one of the downloads. I started getting downloads about New Earth last year,
Oh,
and I heard that there's going to be chaos, but to keep your focus on the good, basically keep your focus on the new, the creation of the new. So even like in our conversation right now, with everything going on, we can be focused on what Trump is doing. And
yeah.
it's sad. It's horrible
Hmm.
what's happening, those people being deported, and what I mean. But if you believe in what is being taught, like ed agape, or through the spiritual center, that we're all energy, and what you focus on expands.
Yes,
Remember, that's been
yes, yes, yes.
taught, been teaching in the teachings for like 20 years now. What you focus on expands, and the reason why that in my downloads is to focus on the new, focus on the good, the new earth, everything that you see that's new. And why I talked about people, the good, the new is how the collective is changing, fighting back against the old system. We focus
Mhm,
on that so that expands. I had a download about thinking about Trump as being focusing too much on him and calling him
mhm.
things we call him. But that's because we're all co-creators, that's also creating that at the same time.
Right,
So the best thing to do is when you think of him, sin love, think
right.
of other ways, put that energy out there, of like, you know what, send him, think of loving things that he could do, like, or if he does anything nice and loving, I'm sure he does at some point, focus on that. And
Mhm,
can you imagine too, this is just coming to me, can you imagine that if he does something right and loving, because he's power hungry and he's losing power, he sees, I don't know if him and Elon didn't expect the backlash of this because their followers hyped him up so much. Maybe they didn't realize that that's only 20% of America that is actually doing it. When I looked at stats, it was like, unfortunately, 40% of America's over 40% Americans didn't actually vote. And then the ones that did, it was a very close. So technically, it's only 20% of Americans, 20 some, whatever, that put him in office.
mhm.
And he's upsetting a lot more. So, but if we were to focus on something that Elon and Trump did that's good,
Mm,
and who knows, maybe their ego, because that's what it is, right? It's you're either aligned with source or you're aligned with ego. Maybe their ego will be like, oh, wait, this works better to do this. It's just a thought, you know.
mhm.
Uh,
I tend to not want to think about him at all. I don't want to
Or
give
that.
him any energy at all. I think
Yeah,
he's gotten, over the past 10 years, he's gotten way too much attention, way too much energy has been focused on him, which is what's created, this huge personality. I mean, I guess he's always had a huge personality, but he's gotten even bigger. And so I want to be more, I want to put my attention on other things that will generate uh, this love, this
yeah,
harmony, this us coming together as a collective. I want to put my energy on that, and want to, and this is why we're doing this recording and whatever I call it, podcast or video cast, is to bring other people out who are like us, who will put more loving energy out into the universe so that that expands. And
yes,
and as that expands, it diminishes the other stuff that's out there.
exactly.
You
That's
know?
yeah,
Yeah. That so that's why we're having these conversations and helping people to become more um I hate to use that, but it's empowered, it's like if you are not, or if you are no longer suppressing those those tendencies to connect with the higher power, with the great divine, with whatever it is, the technologies that we talked about already, our downloading and meditation and all of don't and anything's anything that arises in you that helps you feel like you are more connected to God. Don't suppress that. You know,
right,
keep nurturing it so it happens even more frequently. And that is, you're getting these downloads from divine, which is not going to steer you wrong.
right,
I think it's always going to be positive energy and for the greater good, basically. So don't ignore that. Don't suppress it, and talk about it with us. We want to know who else is out there that is having these experiences that you can share with other people, and know that you're not alone. Know that you're not weird. You're not on some. People don't necessarily look at you funny because we're all having these experiences, but we're at different levels. I'm not at the same level as Tiffany. She's probably not at the same level as somebody else, but we're wherever we are, we should not diminish, those tendencies that we have. And then hopefully they will expand, like we will become more aware of other ways in which we connect with spirit and be able to carry out, you know, what we're here to carry out, expressing our gifts and talents and skills that is going to contribute towards the greater good.
Greater good. Yes,
That's
I like
that's
that.
I know, I do too, and I'm so I don't know, I just feel so positive, I guess, about what's to come. You
I
know.
do too. And it's the first time really I felt that way in a long time.
Hmm.
Um, even even though, I had a lot of downloads yesterday, and then my friend came and he was telling me about what he saw in the financial realm of what's happening. And like I said, when I put two and two together and three, I was like, this is happening. And yes, it's going to be hard, but I'm really excited about where we're going. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Do you want to, because I know our hour's almost up. Let's talk about the challenge that we're going to do, and we're going to offer that people listening do the same thing about listening to your intuition.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
so the challenge is to daily listen to your intuition. So you'd have to do this in quiet time or meditation. It doesn't really have to be a meditation. You can just, if you're not used to doing it, sit in silence for 10, 15 minutes to start and just allow your nervous system to regulate, basically relax. So sit in silence, complete silence. I mean, it's never complete silence, but sitting in silence is a practice that I'm doing as long as you can with less noise. And then think about what do you have to do today? So it's best to do it in the morning, midday, anytime though, especially if you get overwhelmed or if you have a decision that you can't figure out. Sit in silence, have a pen and paper, and allow your intuition to tell you what to do. It's that still that how do you say it, Gwen? The still quiet voice,
Still small voice.
still small voice.
Learned from my center. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, and that's a practice to start learning to listen to your intuition to know what to do. And we mentioned a couple people last time we did last recording that like Oprah and there's multiple, I forgot their names, but they said they make all their big decisions based on their intuition for all of it. And they're very successful. So the practice is to start listening to your intuition. So you one have to learn how to do it and then start listening to it to make decisions. And sometimes your intuition's decisions don't make sense. But remembering that that intuition is source or your spirit guides or whatever, that the universe that is here for you, not against you, here for you to live the abundant life that we are supposed to have, for our souls to accomplish what we're supposed to be doing here. And so we're going to practice that more. And we're offering for you guys to practice it more and let us know, you know, what happens.
Absolutely. That was perfect. Yes.
Mhm.
And it's, if you're new to this, be patient with yourself, because it's easy to say, hard to do, but you can do it, and you can do it just incrementally. You know, Tiffany was saying, take 5, 10, 15 minutes a day or over the course of a day, to sit still and just listen. And I think it was Deepak Chopra that used this phrase about expanding the space between your thoughts.
Mm.
That's how he put it. So we're going to have continuous chatter in our, what I call chatter in our brain. Like we're always thinking about something, like
Hmm.
something that's coming up that we're planning for, or something that's already happened that we're sort of debriefing ourselves about. There's always going to be something there. But the more you can quiet your mind and have and enlarge the space between your thoughts, the better it is for you to be able to hear and be aware of the intuition that's coming to you, because that is going to guide your decisions, your actions going forward. And when you are aligned in that way, and those actions that you take that's guided from the divine will result in things that are going to uplift you. And anything like, we're talking about the folks who have, I guess, reached this higher plane, are very successful because they have, and these are people who have reached this higher plane because they have listened to their intuition, and they're doing what they have been guided to do that is in alignment with the divine spirit. And prosperity and the resources that you need just start coming. You'll just see it start coming. And it sounds like, wishful thinking, or I don't know, something ethereal, but it it actually does happen, because these folks are examples of it, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to get to that higher plane to do that, and I will be doing it, and we want to hear what your experience is, and you can come on and share with us, what you have been experiencing, and how you've evolved, and how you've grown and developed in your nurturing of your spirituality, because we're definitely sharing our experience. So write in the comments section below this video what you've been experiencing. Just take a day or two, and over the course of a day, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and see what happens, see what the outcome of it is. And
Right.
we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, um, I'm Gwendolyn Flynn.
And I'm Tiffany Lee.
All right. Have a wonderful experience nurturing your spirituality. We'll see you then.